Hi there, I'm Logan Medish, and this is High Caliber History. Usually when you encounter a firearm that's undergone a conversion, it's done to bring the gun up to speed with current technology, such as flintlock to percussion, percussion to cartridge, etc. Rarely do you see something go in the other direction, and yet that's exactly what I encountered with this gun. This handgun started life as a Colt Model 1862 police revolver in .36 caliber. Loaded with loose black powder, topped with a bullet, and ignited with a percussion cap, this 6-shot revolver was state-of-the-art when it was made in 1863. But something went wrong in this gun's life that required some serious surgery to keep it going. Exactly what happened will forever remain a mystery. Perhaps the cylinder ruptured due to either a chain fire or an overloaded chamber. The force of the blast could have blown off one of the legs that held the barrel in place on the leading edge of the frame, but we'll never know for sure. What we do know for sure is that 6 shots are certainly better than 1, but 1 shot is definitely better than none. With a little bit of ingenuity, some spare steel, and a couple of small sheets of brass and screws, this gun was back in the fight as a single-shot percussion conversion. While the left leg under the barrel is jagged, the right one appears to have been cut off cleanly to even the two out. Then the loading lever assembly was removed from the underneath of the barrel. A hole was drilled through the barrel legs in front of the wedge and fitted for a screw. Then a small sheet of brass was attached to the side of the screw with the head. The screw was inserted through the hole, and the brass was bent around to the other side. The brass was crimped into place, and then the screw was peened and filed to turn it into a rivet. At the front of the barrel, another piece of brass was cut and shaped to create a ferrule for the new steel ramrod. The brass ferrule was then soldered to the underside of the barrel. Now, the breech of this barrel would have been completely open to permit firing the ball from the cylinder chamber, but as a single-shot conversion, that wouldn't work. One of the nipples was removed from the cylinder and then fitted permanently into place in the barrel's breech, with the nipple protruding so that it was flush with the face of the recoil shield. The forwardmost piece of the frame was cut back, removing most of the serial number in that location. Why this was done isn't clear. It has no bearing on how the barrel attaches. Perhaps it was damaged somehow when the catastrophe happened. The center pin upon which the cylinder normally sat and rotated was cut back, and a new slot for the wedge was cut into it in order for everything to fit together properly. With all the modifications made, the gun could be reassembled. The barrel slid onto the frame's cylinder pin and was locked into place with the barrel wedge, just as it would have been done normally, albeit this time in a much shorter configuration. Then a modified screw went through the brass sheet on the bottom of the frame as an extra means of securing the barrel to the frame. The hammer originally had a notch cut into it to act as a rear sight when cocked, but the new barrel configuration required an alteration. The hammer tip was flattened, drawn out a bit, and curved up slightly. This was essential given that the barrel is now at a slight downward angle compared to the frame. Unfortunately, it wasn't quite enough, as the hammer notch lines up with the front sight when placed on half cock, but it is too low to be used when the hammer is at full cock. Now, this particular model was made between 1861 and 1873, with the serial number indicating that this one was made in 1863. Even after all it's been through, the serial numbers still match on all of the parts. The frame, trigger guard, backstrap, and even the one-piece wooden grip all have matching serial numbers. An interesting aside to the serial number, you'll notice that there's an L below it in each place. This was to denote guns made in New Haven, Connecticut that were slated for sales through Colt's London agency. Despite the hard life that this gun has endured, it still functions. All of the original springs still hold tension, and the sears still do their jobs. The nipple is intact and unobstructed, and the barrel's rifling is almost perfect. The only thing that has truly suffered on the remaining portions of the gun are the screws. As is so often the case, someone ill-prepared for a job manages to bugger up a screw or two. Well, in this case, they buggered up all but the two on the trigger guard. The rest were distorted, widened out, or in the case of two, completely disfigured. Thankfully, my set of Magnatip screwdrivers from Brownells has a wide variety of blade thicknesses and widths, so I was able to safely remove all of the screws that still had slots in them so that I could clean the gun and then put it back together without doing any further damage. Now, you'll note that I said earlier that the gun still functions and not that the gun shoots. I don't have any 36 caliber round balls yet, but once I get some, I fully intend on seeing if this survivor will still get the job done, albeit 1 round at a time instead of 6. Thanks for tuning in to this episode of High Caliber History. I hope you enjoyed. If you're not subscribed, please do. Give this video a thumbs up, leave a comment below, and I'll see you on the next episode.